I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hello! Welcome to the Red Table Talk After Show. We're here again. What's up, guys?
Hey!
What happened?
Hey!
I love this color
Simone.
scheme, though.
I know. Look at us, matching.
Matching or whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Great minds think alike.
Love it.
Tyler, what are you eating?
What
Fruit
are
snacks.
you eating?
Fruit snacks, just nice.
Yes, we are all still social distancing, but we're here together. I am Tyler Simone, and I couldn't do this without my lovely panel co-hosts, Jade, Tyler, and J'Lamar, of course.
What's poppin'?
What's poppin'? Okay, let's just get right into it. How did you guys feel about the overall episode?
Loved it. It was well needed, and I think that everyone needed to watch this because I think they're so right that there's so much anxiety happening right now, so much worry, not only just because of the virus itself, but their jobs and stuff. And so the fact that they even decided to talk about what we can do in order to not feel this anxiety, I think it was a perfect way to end, I guess, the part two.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting how last week we talked about how they needed to get a response from people outside of the house, people that are actually living and going through certain experiences. So It was good to see when they brought in the girl who's in college and got kicked out of her dorms. And it was good they brought in those type of stories to the episode because last week, that's what we said they needed. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this episode. I feel like it was a little bit more informative. It was definitely easier to get through. It was shorter, not the short attention thing. It was a little bit more entertaining also because when they added on the other stories, now I can connect to it. Now I'm like, oh, okay, now I'm learning from people as opposed to the monotone way that the doctor was delivering his information on the first episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I
I feel
agree.
like I was connected throughout the entire episode for the most part. I agree.
Yeah.
And I noticed in the very beginning, they were practicing social distancing. They didn't even give each other hugs. Did you notice?
Yeah. But the thing is, what I thought was kind of weird is I get the social distancing and I'm glad that they didn't hug each other. I love that. But also at the same time, it seemed like they were in the same distance, like always for when they sit around the red table. So I was like,
yeah, they definitely weren't 6 feet away from each other.
yeah,
They-
for
they
sure.
were
What?
like
Oh.
3.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing. And a lot of shows now, talk shows, are doing lives or recording straight from their house and doing the whole remote thing. I wonder why they didn't just do it that way.
Well, you know what? I'm guessing that probably when they brought the doctors on, the doctors had been tested already for COVID-19.
But even if you do that though, like again, they said that you wouldn't. Oh, I guess, but I feel like you just would not have really wouldn't know, and so I think that would possibly even set a confusion for people a little bit.
I definitely don't think Will and Jada would allow somebody into their house if they had
That's
tested.
true.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that. That makes sense. Okay, so Dr. Ramani, who's been on the show before, both guests have, she was talking a little bit about her perspective as a shrink or a therapist and the fact that nobody really considers the fact that they are dealing with their own not burdens, maybe, but their own burdens and their own problems, but they also help other people. What did you guys think about that part of the conversation?
I totally agree because I am that person. I am the biggest compassion. Like they kept talking about how co-dependent Jada is and how like big they are about helping other people. That's literally how I felt. And the thing is like it just really depends on who you are as a person because there are some people who are very empathetic about certain things and certain people. And so I think that because the news they kept saying that okay, you can affect other people, especially older people like your parents and stuff, or children. It's like that's more scary than yourself. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because the thing is, in your mind, you're just like, okay, like as long as I'm good, but I need to make sure that I'm not infecting anyone just in case.
Right.
Yes. And I don't know if you guys have friends who have just decided not to go back and visit their families. Jade, I know you went back home, but J'Lamar and Tyler, what is your perspective on that? And maybe, staying away from your parents, elders?
Like I said last week, my mom kind of instructed me like, stay your ass put in LA because y'all are definitely more exposed than
Yes.
people in Cleveland, Ohio, where I'm from. I definitely would have loved to have been back home and kind of around my family during this time. But I do understand that, you know, my mom is about to be 60. My grandmother is in her 80s. My brother just had a newborn baby. So all of those are people that are definitely at high risk for COVID-19. So I completely am okay with like being at home by myself and away from my family and talking to them every day, FaceTiming, and just keeping that social family distance that I feel like we have to keep.
Yeah, same. My parents they didn't beg, but they definitely were trying their best to get me to come home. And I'd be the adult in the room and just kind of be like, Dad, you're 63. My grandmother's 85. My uncle, who's my, you know, grandmother's oldest son, lives next door. He's 65. I'm like, all of y'all are high risk. Like, it makes no sense for me to leave. And of course, I'm healthy as far as I go, no issues, no anything, but I could still be a carrier, bring it home to y'all. And now I've wiped out my whole family. And then I really would have no issues. So I was like, nah, I'll just FaceTime y'all. Like, I'm an only child, so I don't have siblings or anything like that. So being isolated and alone and all, this is normal. Like,
yeah.
As a kid, they tell you to go play in your room. I was playing with G.I. Joes and Ninja Turtles. And all of this
we
stuff
have imaginary friends.
Normal.
Yeah, you guys are definitely a little bit more used to it than the rest.
I'm not at all. I'm one of four. I always grew up in a busy household. I never had my own room until I moved away for college and got my own apartment. So this like isolation by myself. I think this is like one of the first times in my life where like I can't have company. I can't be around my friends because of COVID-19, you know. I like being around my friends. I like being out. I'm an extreme extrovert. So like
you haven't had company?
Well,
this is not J'Lamar Table Talk. This is Red Table Talk.
Tea.
Okay. We didn't sign up for this.
Tyler is so messy.
I am.
You say you ain't had no company over?
Oh my God.
Oh gosh.
Oh man. Okay. So I also wanted to talk about like, okay, so last week we talked about the whole situation of people like stacking up on toilet paper. And they talked a little bit about that this week too, and how people are acting out of the fear part of their brain. I don't know what it's called, but it's shaped like an almond, she said.
The almond medulla or something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yes. So yes.
Yeah.
I think that we got an answer as to why some people are acting out of fear.
Yeah.
But the thing is, apparently I found out that the new symptom as far as for our as far as our symptoms for if you have it or not, apparently it's diarrhea. So now so in the people's minds, it's like, we need toilet paper. This is the reason why we need toilet paper now. You know what I mean? It's like almost as if not making sense, because obviously you shouldn't act like it's apocalypse low-key, because it kind of is. But, you know, still you can't now it's starting to make sense as far as the toilet paper goes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that
no, I don't. I still it still doesn't make sense.
What are you gonna do if you run out of toilet paper and you on the street?
It makes no sense for you to go to Costco and buy 3 30 packs.
Oh yeah, that's a big pack though. That's a huge pack. Like that lasts for a year. It could.
But I do understand. So y'all, literally, I'm working from home every day for 8 hours a day. It's my fault. I literally have my news up. I'm watching the news all day. And so for those people that are constantly watching the news, I'm a little bit more conscious. I know what's really going on. But for the people that's like steady watching the news and they're indulged in it, it does make you like kind of like scared and nervous.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that you're buying toilet tissue because it's the end of the world, but the fact that you don't want to go to the store every week to get your weekly necessities. So I think that people are more so shopping and getting things for their weekly necessities in bulk, opposed to having to go to the store every week. I'm one of the people, like I go to the store like 2 or 3 times a week, just because I don't like to waste food and stuff like that. Now I literally have to go to the store like once every other week. And I have to get a lot of shit. I eat a lot. So like I have to get a lot of food. And honestly, y'all, like toilet paper and stuff like that, I get that stuff like once a month. I'll buy like 5 Dove body washes and, you know, 3 things of toothpaste. But I've always been that type of person. I was raised that way. But like this whole toilet paper thing, I'm kind of scared because when I went to the store last week, like I didn't, I walked right past it. I'm like, oh, I don't need that. Not thinking that shit, you know, in like a month.
Literally.
So, yeah, literally. My thing is that, and I mentioned this on the last show, that whenever there's a crisis, a pandemic, an epidemic, or whatever, we always cling to something manifested its way in some form. And there was a therapist, I don't remember if it was Red Table Talk, The View, somebody. There was a therapist on, and they talked about the fact that, and from a psychological standpoint, when we have to cling to something, and whatever that thing is, it manifests. Sometimes it's the Purell. It was that for a minute, but for toilet paper, because that is something that everybody needs. If I can hoard it, and you can't get it, Jade, now I, Tyler, feel like I'm up here and Jade's down there, and I don't care whether you can find it or not. I have now created another form of hierarchy where I'm better or in a better situation than you, thus calming, or they think it's calming, the fears of this whole pandemic epidemic thing. Right. And as far as, and you're right, the news, like you, Jay, I'm always in on the news, but even I limit myself to an hour of the news because I found myself somebody that's always tuned in, somebody that's pretty, you know, average anxiety level for the most part, but watching the news for like 2 hours back to back, even I was like, okay, like what is happening? Like I was a little like anxious, and so I was like, no.
I'm extreme hypochondriac. In any situation. Prior to this epidemic, I was a hypochondriac. So like I have 2 close friends who are ICU nurses, and they've been dealing with nothing but COVID-19 patients all week. So this coming Saturday, they said they just wanted to like have dinner at one of their houses, just the 3 of us, we chill and just catch up on life. I actually decided yesterday that I'm going to decline the offer because that hypochondriac in me like started to like hyperventilate, like, well, they're dealing with these patients on a day-to-day basis. Should I be around them right now? Like that kind of made me nervous.
Yeah, it's probably just better to be safe than sorry. What were you saying?
I was gonna say I went to the grocery store yesterday because, like you, Jay, I am the guy. I go to the grocery store every single day. I love going to the grocery store. I go to the gym, leave the gym, go to the grocery store. It's therapeutic to me. So I usually just buy a couple and then I'm out. But because of this whole situation, there's a line at the grocery store. They only let a certain, at least here in LA, they only let a certain number of people in. And then once you get in, I mean, the picking is kind of slim. Like, everything was in stock except for toilet paper and paper towels. So even after spending $200 worth of groceries, because I don't want to come back and sit through this tomorrow. Like I hate lines. I'm only doing it twice a month. So,
Tyler, if you go to the grocery store this weekend and you see Cottonelle wipes, and if you see a Lysol and paper towels, you just give me 1 of each. I'll come pick them up.
Well, I went yesterday. I'm done for a while.
Oh, you're gonna have to wait. Okay. What do you guys think about the idea of grief shaming? Because I feel like there's a lot of that going on. Maybe we feel bad, and they mentioned it. Maybe our job maybe let us go, or we're just not working right now, so we're grieving that. But meanwhile, someone lost a family member, and the fact that we feel guilty for our grief, but we really shouldn't.
I mean, honestly, okay, I would love that you are asking about this because at the end of the day, and this is honestly a rule that everyone knows, nobody's bad or what they view as bad is too bad. You know what I mean? Like everyone has their own way of thinking what is bad to them. And the thing is, it's like, just like, for instance, like I hate to bring it up, but it's just like, for instance, God. He doesn't just pick each sin, you know, each sin he sees the same. So it's like, for us personally, we see that this is our bad. You know what I mean? Like when it comes to losing jobs, when it comes to losing our time to go out. That's probably somebody that doesn't like, hates staying in. They wish they can go out. And the thing is, it sucks. But also at the same time, all we can do is be empathetic and understand as far as people that do pass. But then also at the same time, we can't really put ourselves in that position to make ourselves choose what makes us sad and what makes us feel bad just because of the severity of things. So I just think that when it comes to shaming, I don't think at this moment in time we should be doing that, because there's always somebody, each person has something that's way more important to them than the other person realizes.
I completely agree with Jade. I feel like at this particular point in time, everybody is going through some particular situation, whether it's having a family member who's dealing with COVID-19 or whether it's somebody dealing with losing a job. I think that we should just be respectful as a collective to what each person is going through. And we can't say one thing is more or less than the other, because what you may be going through may be really, really tough for you. And what somebody else is going through, it may be really, really tough for them. This whole people losing their jobs, when 2 weeks ago they were making $150,000 a year, and now they're down to nothing out of nowhere. I mean, that's drastic. But also 2 weeks ago, somebody having life, and then now they have no life. That's drastic. So I feel like we just have to be conscious that what you may be going through is a lot, what somebody else may be going through is a lot. I don't think that you can weigh them. I think that you can just pray for them.
Yeah.
But then we as a people, like, we have to give ourselves permission to feel what we feel, because we lived past tense in a society that was so busy, on the go. People forgot, I feel like, how to deal with themselves and take care of themselves. And so for all of the seniors, they mentioned this on the show, all of the seniors, you guys remember what we were doing senior year? We had grad bash, we had prom, we had all of those things. Okay, now
it's monumental moments.
Yeah, these kids won't get to have that. And so, parents, the kids themselves have to give permission to mourn the fact that this isn't what yours is going to look like. Yours is going to look a little bit different. For people that are losing jobs and can't go in, like, you have to just be comfortable enough to say, this stuff hurts. This doesn't feel good. Like, I'm not handling this well. Like, you just have to feel things, and don't be afraid to feel it. People are afraid to feel pain. Like,
literally. And then
go ahead, Jay.
Oh, I was just gonna add on to what Tyler said, adding on to as far as the seniors and all this stuff. At the end of the day, kids cannot worry about the same stuff that adults are worrying about. Absolutely. That is their adolescent age, that this is a big important thing about them. So the thing is if you're shaming children for being sad about that they can't go outside, or they can't hang out with they can't go hang out with Tommy, or they can't hang out with Susie, it's like, you can't be upset at that, because that is in their moment. That's their age of what they're concerned about.
It's crazy to think, y'all, like, us in our adult life thus far, this is one of the biggest things that we've gone through in our adult life. I'm about to be 32. This is literally the biggest thing. There was a recession that happened when we were maybe in high school or going to college. A little recession happened. But to know that right now in my adult life, my friends are experiencing job loss, family members dying. This is huge for our time. It's crazy that, I agree, it's crazy that those seniors won't get the opportunity to experience senior cut day, proms, and some of them graduations. It's very, 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 very sad. On the same side, it's sad that our generation, we're in our 30s, we're in our 20s, we're jumping into our careers, and now we have to
on a halt.
Now we got to start all over again, and we were just getting started. It's crazy.
Exactly. The thing about our generation, I feel like, people love to say what they want to say about the millennials, but our generation has had to put up with a lot of crap. We were the first generation to have with school shootings, with Columbine and all of that. We had to live through 9/11, no matter where you were, whether it was college, high school, middle school, whatever. And then the recession that took place and the crash of 2009 and having to rebuild an economy. A lot of us were just really getting into the workforce when the recession hit. And then we were the first ones to be let go from our good jobs with whatever corporation. And then we finally decided, oh, you know what? We're going to take over social media, and we're going to, make our own rules and do this and do that. we finally start making some leeway, and then we get idiots in power that don't know what they're doing, and now here we are again, and now that has been halted. So it's like our generation has really had to deal with a lot and put up with a lot. And I don't think people, society, and ourselves, I don't think we even identify it as such. Like, we actually need to we are a traumatized group of people. Millennials are traumatized AF. Like, we've had to deal with a lot.
I think it's crazy too, if y'all think about it, how quickly a lot of these people lost their jobs. Like
so
2 weeks ago,
quick.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, they were like working no problems. And then we go through COVID-19 only for 2 weeks, and they lay off millions of people. It's like, are these companies like living paycheck to paycheck?
Well, but the thing is now, apparently now it has been approved, as far as Trump just approved, about giving out 12, not like pretty much a trillion, like money wise, in order to give $1,200 to each American. So I don't even know how
that's not enough in LA.
It's not.
Yeah.
That's not even our rent.
It's definitely not.
That's not.
And it's like, is it gonna come out of our pockets in another
Later.
way in the future?
Yeah.
Right. It might.
Oh,
You know,
100%. That's gonna put the US in debt so bad.
But even like
So
unemployment, they said with unemployment, they're gonna add an additional $600 onto each unemployment check. But it's like, what about for the people that were taking home, close to $2,000 a week? And that max of unemployment, I think it's like maybe like 1,000 or something like that. How are they supposed to live?
But this is the great thing about it.
Said,
The one great thing that came out of the whole, well, for me, I have to make everything about, our situation to find the silver lining. The great thing about this this package, so with the $2 trillion that they passed, yes, allegedly we're all supposed to get this money. No, they didn't tell us how we're gonna get it. Apparently, if you have a social security number and you filed your taxes in the past at any point, then you'll just will wake up and there will be X amount of dollars in your account. Okay, boom. Now, as far as unemployment goes, they also cover self-employed, contract workers. Basically, to me, that's the entertainment industry. Because y'all know, when we work for whatever said entertainment company and you do a gig, you're not on their payroll. You're a contracted employee for the most part. And a lot of times we get left out of unemployment stuff. So now if you are self-employed and or you do contract work, now you fit in the unemployment thing. So that part is cool. But like Jay said, it don't come close to taking home before.
I think that's why Trump is so big on everything getting back rolling in April. I think because he knows that $2 trillion is going to run out. It's not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough. It's going to run out quick. So,
but the thing is, are you willing to put, like, you're like millions will die if they go back to work. It literally said millions.
But you have to understand, does Trump want to be known as a president that saved lives or the president that saved businesses? He wants to be known as the president that saved businesses.
But how can businesses survive if people are dead? If the workers are the ones who are making these businesses run in the first place, if let's say you own a company, well, you do own a company, and I work for you, and you have 1,000 employees, you have 3 people that come in because now you're forcing us to go to work. I have infected all of your employees. Employees die. Then what? The economy.
Now with that, exactly. Now with that being said, though, I'm not saying because there are going to be dumb people that are going to want to try to get this. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, not dumb that you want to get that money, but you're dumb for making the decision of putting others at risk as well as yourself to do that. So the thing is, I feel like because Trump is over here allowing, saying we're going to try to get this back up and everything, I feel like it's gonna be a tug of war of the people making the decision of, should I go to work? Because, okay, cool, he's allowing this to happen, but also at the same time, I know the risk. Because pay in mind too, y'all, every day, not even like every hour, someone is dying from this. Not even multiple people are dying from this. So it's just like, people are there, like, and I get that it's scary when the news, they talk about the rate that it keeps going up and stuff. But also at the same time, it's great that they're doing it because it's also showing that, look, y'all, like, I get it. Y'all want to hang out. Y'all want to work and all this stuff and be around the same people. But people are dying. And even if people are dying, you could die from it.
Yeah. Did y'all get that public safety alert? Did it come on y'all phone?
Mm-hmm.
Which one?
Right before we came.
Yeah, that public safety alert. It was like almost like an Amber Alert, just reminding people like stay home. Only
Yeah.
That's
those
so
people.
crazy. And apparently, and now here they're starting to do lockdown until midnight now. They're going to start doing that. They're starting to implement that in different counties in Houston right now. That like now they're about to have a curfew because you shouldn't be out. Why are you out from 12 to 6 between that time?
The weird thing about this virus is like we were watching last week's episode. I mean, it's going to move through population regardless. So
Facts.
it's like, okay, so how long does it take for a virus to move through a population? Because we can't not work forever. I mean, there's just no way.
But that's why so this is the thing, like, and you know, I would love to say that I am just like standing with our government and our government is doing the right thing, but unfortunately they've already failed us. So now we're trying to play catch up.
Yeah.
In January, when everybody was warning what was going on, and the first case had been reported in China, and the president and his people were ignoring it and downplaying it, and there's a video out where you can literally see up until a week ago all of the things that he was saying, oh, it's under control, oh, it's nothing, oh, I'm not going to worry about it, oh, my people got it on it, all of those things. And now, okay, now the major cities, New York, LA, Chicago, San Francisco, maybe Seattle, all of those places are like a war zone.
Mm-hmm.
So people are feeling it, and we're like trying to play catch up. And we have a great governor and a great mayor that is doing the things to try to keep LA together. And now he's trying to play catch up, but then he's also conflicted, Trump I'm talking about, because like you said, he doesn't know, should I worry about people's lives, or I'm trying to get reelected, so I need this economy to pick back up. And
but how can you be reelected if you need the people? How could you be reelected?
I think
that you be reelected if you need people.
With him, he doesn't have the medical expertise, and he's not listening to the medical experts.
But he has the resources, though.
He has no expertise.
Oh, look at Trump. Trump had the resources for a lot of things. Does he utilize them? No, because he thinks that he's the smartest person in America and beyond. So no, he's not going to listen to the medical experts that are next to him, because he feels like he wants to make sure that businesses thrive and businesses have what they need to start producing again. But at the same time, like, us going back to normal in 2 weeks ain't enough.
It's not going to happen.
So, do you guys think that we have a cure that we're just not exposing yet? Because if we did have
you trying to have them come to our home, Tyler. You trying to have them come to our house.
I'm just interested, because it's like, if that was put out to the public and people were getting cured for it, is that not what they want? Because then we could go back to work.
I don't think so. The way social media and whistleblowers are set up in this millennial state, I don't feel like that we have like a cure yet.
No, we don't.
Yeah, I work for a healthcare institution, and a lot of our doctors and stuff are being tested. And it was interesting. I was on a conference call earlier this week, and one of our doctors said, we don't have the test kits at our facility, but my homie down in Palm Springs, he put a test kit aside for me, so I'm going to get on there and be tested. So it's like, if they did have any type of cure, mind you, those doctors, once they get their hands on it, they're going to dish it out to the people that they know first before it gets out to the world. But I don't think we have a cure yet. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think that there's a cure, but here's the so we do know that there's, with just like the regular flu, there's a range to how this will affect people. Some people will have no symptoms. Some people will have extreme symptoms and will even die, just like the regular flu. So if we already know that because like when they test you, they're not testing you to then give you the cure, because there isn't one. They're just testing you to identify whether you have it or not. So if we all just act like we have it, if they were to, and I think Jade asked this on our last episode last week, was the government going to shut down? And I abruptly said yes. What I meant by that was, if we would just shut everything down for a month, a full month, the only people that are out are hospital workers, police and firefighters, and EMT. Everybody else, you get your food, they give you warning, you get your food, you lock away in the house for a full month. People that have it, well, even if you don't, it will play itself out, because you have to be quarantined for 14 days. There's this after you quarantine, there's still like another little waiting period. So if you would just go a full month, everybody stay in the house, the virus itself will go ahead and play out, and it will be over.
And I think
so how do you think? Oh,
the only reason they're not doing that is simply because there are certain places within the country that aren't as affected. I know my friends that live in Georgia. You know, Georgia just announced the stay at home.
Just one person just got it. Yeah.
Yeah, but they just announced it. They just announced it this week. We've been on it for 2 weeks now, and their governor said that he didn't want to put an entire state mandate out there for everybody to be shut in, because there are certain counties, like smaller counties, where they have like 0 cases. The hospitals are normal. Like there's nothing really going on. So I think that the government is scared to do this major shutdown simply because they don't want to shut down some cities that are thriving right now. Which I think
they're going to be. There's just a delay. Everybody, like you said, the major cities are already there. It's a wave. It goes from the big major cities to the medium-sized cities, to the smaller cities, to the rural areas, and then it'll play out. But if we all acknowledge that it's coming. Everybody, if we had real leadership and people, and we had real true experts on the mic, on the ones and twos, announcing to the people, then everybody close your doors, hide your kids, hide your wife, close the blinds, and everybody lock away for 30 days. Regardless, it will go and it will pass, but we can't seem to do that.
Every organization, every company right now is one COVID-19 patient away from being infecting their entire staff. Just one. Every
just one.
Just one.
Yeah.
And they literally said that at the Red Table Talk. At least 3 of us out of this group of table right here will get it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I hate to tell y'all, it ain't gonna be me. Sorry, I hate to tell you.
In Jesus' name.
In Jesus'
name. I'm not having no more company.
No more.
I've been cut off for 2 weeks, sir. I've been in isolation for 2 weeks.
Good job.
Have y'all been walking outside though?
Oh, but when out though.
I definitely took a walk today.
Yeah, it's nice.
I actually got out yesterday for the first time in 6 days. I got out yesterday and took a walk.
Oh my God, 6 days. That's good.
We stand nature walk.
It feels weird outside though, y'all. I feel so weird outside.
Really?
Like what, the air?
The air, the energy, it just feels like
I can't even imagine.
Yesterday, I kid you not, the moment I got in the grocery, and I've had no symptoms of anything. I got in the grocery store, my nose started running. I was like, see, this mess out here. You cannot, the moment, this is why I'm drinking this stuff. Like, I am not.
You're out the house more than any of us. Tyler's out the house.
Wait, say that again, Jay?
I said Tyler's out the house more than any of us. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. You always out the house. Rolling in grass. All types.
No. I have been to the park twice. And that was 2 weeks ago. Or
not the park.
That was last week, Tyler.
That was last week. I'm in the house all the time. I haven't been at all this week. The last time I was at the park was last Saturday.
You post a video every day with your damn in your shoe.
Anyway, go ahead.
Before we close out, I just wanted to maybe talk a little bit about the tips that they gave at the very end to deal with all this anxiety. Tyler, you mentioned drinking your, what is it, tea?
It's lemon, fresh lemon, ginger, fresh ginger, honey, and you can add whatever you want to it. If you're already sick, food to it. If you're not sick, just drink it like that. You can add a shot of Jack Daniels if you like, or some type of.
Oh.
I mean, tequila technically is good for your immune system, so
just really boost your immune system and kind of make sure nothing gets in there.
And then also, I love that they also said that, you know, whenever you do feel like you have a lot of anxiety, you put your hand over your heart and you just give yourself that 4-second breathe. It was very beautiful how they ended it, because at the end of the day, I definitely did it. At the end of the day, I feel like we do not give ourselves time to breathe. You know, we're always on the go, you know, mentally always thinking about something. So give yourself some time, give yourself that moment, at least for a good minute. You know what I mean? Count to 4 and just breathe in and out.
You know what? The other day I went out, it was in the morning when the sun was coming up, and I went outside and did some stretching, and I felt like that was the first time I had really breathed in a long time and just sat still. And I started crying because for some reason it was just so like
beautiful. You were in your moment.
Really
you were in the moment. Yeah, you were in the moment to literally actually recollect, reflect, and actually realize, okay, I can breathe. You know what I mean? This is also, people need to realize that yes, this is scary, but this is a moment where we can really recollect ourselves so that we can go back to work, so that we can have a better mindfulness of understanding when it comes to, you know, work and what we value. You know what I mean? This is a perfect way to really get in tune on ourselves and really relax.
And I really enjoyed exercise in addition to the breathing, when he was like, now name 5 things that you can, I don't remember what it was, but 5 things you can hear or touch or whatever. Those exercises, I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to implement this, because it really does kind of like really calm you down and make you aware, grateful and appreciative of like where you are in the space that you're in the moment.
Exactly.
Definitely.
I like that.
Also, what else? I'll talk to maybe and also I was gonna say my favorite one was just deleting any sources that are not your main sources and then just sticking with those.
That's my problem.
Delete them out. All of it.
Delete them all.
Even social media. If you feel pressured on Instagram or on Twitter, like you don't see this again, like I said, you should not be feeling a moment that you feel like you need to be ahead of the game right now. This is not the moment to feel like you need to be ahead of the game.
This isn't the time.
Where you
know what I
going?
did for the first time in God knows when? Because I like what I have been doing in the last 2 weeks that we've been in isolation. I've been staying up till like 3 a.m, waking up at like 7 or 8, and then just being on the go in this house. And then I was like, why are you doing that? God has slowed the world down. He's basically told everybody to stop. He's giving the world a break. So he's actually helping the environment. Now we're not driving. All of that global warming is actually, might even get a little better because we took a little moment to just stop. So allow yourself time to rest. So I slept in. I woke up at like 7 or 8. I went up, got something to eat, and got right back in the bed. And it goes back off. And I woke up again at like 11. Like, it's okay to take a moment during this time to actually stop with the social media. I love a good TikTok video, but there's only so many
dances.
Relax for a minute.
I'm gonna break my back for this.
Although I do want us to do a TikTok. Like,
we should. Social distancing.
All right.
I want to do the savage one.
Oh.
Okay, we gotta go.
Oh,